All right, I want to talk to you guys about a technique that we call the step back recall. Now, what it is was, I always kind of tell the story of how like the method came to be. It was years and years ago. I had a client who had a big dog, bigger than this. It was a big Mastiff, probably 180 pounds, 160 pounds. And that dog was very, very aggressive. You know, wanted to attack anything. And to top it off, the owner was a little person. She was, you know, she was very short, and the dog was far bigger than her. And so it was a very odd dynamic of like, all right, how can we, you know, this dog's so much stronger and bigger, how can we fix this? And so every dog that has aggression goes through what we call the aggression snowball. And so, you know, they see something, they notice something, they're puffing up, and then they're lunging or whatever, right? Every dog's different, but every dog has their snowball. And so I still remember working with this dog years ago. In the first session, I don't even think I touched the dog because the dog was like off in the back, like he was like pounding the door to the bedroom, trying to get out, hearing me in the living room. And she's, you know, she's talking about how she wants to take the dog to the farmer's market. And I was like, I don't think that's gonna, I don't know if that's gonna happen. You know, we've got this, because it was aggressive towards everything, man, woman, child, dog, cat, everything. So, you know, by the second session, we've made friends. Now I'm starting to work with the dog. And, you know, with a prong collar that a lot of people are familiar with, we're able to have some control. You know, meaning we were able to, I was able to kind of like walk the dog and get the dog to not pull, but there was no way she could. With all of her strength, she just could not get this dog under control. So we started doing some e-collar work, electric collar work, and what would happen is we would, you know, we'd be going outside, we'd be on a walk, and then here comes one of the dog's triggers. Let's say it was another dog. So here comes another dog, and so she starts her, you know, she starts her process. She puffs up, and what I had to do is step back. Here go the dog. Of course, the dog didn't want to come, so we used a little bit of low-level stimulation. The dog would come, and then it would lunge, and then we'd step back again, and then it would lunge, and we would do this 10 or 15 times before the dog actually calmed down. But when we got a little bit, you know, further along in the training process, maybe it was 1 or 2 or 3 times, and then further along in the training process, here's good boy. Good. As we got a little bit further along in the training process, what would happen, it was really cool, we'd be walking down the street, the dog would see something that would stress it out, and it would just look at its owner. Because what had happened up until that point is over and over and over and over, every time the dog got stimulated, we'd call the dog back. Every time the dog was fearful or anxious, we'd call the dog back. Now, the key thing was, we have to do it before the, you know, before the snowball gets big. If the dog's lunging and going crazy, this is not an easy method to do. And so what we do now is, as the dog starts to, come on. I'm gonna move around here a little bit to get kind of close to this dog. Come on.
Tell me when you want her to bark.
Yeah, why don't you get her to bark?
Phoenix up. Up one. Good. Up one. Good. Up one. Good.
And so, in doing this over and over and over, the dog started to realize, whenever I'm afraid, just look back at mom, in that case.
Phoenix up. Up one.
Good.
I like this new
Good. And so what's happening here is this dog's going into avoidance. And so, in fact, we're going to go look for another dog here in a second. We'll kind of put a compilation here together of us doing the step back recall. But he's going into avoidance because we've done this method once or twice now, and he's already starting to learn. Now, avoidance right now, what it looks like, and I'm on a super low level. I'm on the level 8. But even then, you know, it's enough to kind of grab his attention. But what happens is, we've already done 1 or 2 sessions of this, and so he's starting to realize, okay, I can't do anything to that dog. But he's still stressed. You know, so stress, you know, and fear leads to 3 things: fight, flight, and avoidance. Now before, we've got the video, you know, at the beginning of this video, before he was trying to go into fight with every dog that he saw, you know, barking, aggression, you know, craziness. And so now that we're starting to show him that that's not available anymore, his only 2 options really are flight and avoidance. Now flight's not really an option, I've got him on a leash, but avoidance is. And so avoidance is a good thing at first, because avoidance, well, we don't want it as a long term, but avoidance leads to acceptance. Because if he avoids this dog, and then that dog, and then that dog, and then that dog, he starts to realize nothing ever happens that's bad. I think I'm okay with dogs. And so like I said, you can see as we get close to a dog, he's a little bit jittery. You know, he's very sensitive to any sort of correction or anything like that. But with practice and whatnot, we're gonna see him come out of his shell a little bit more and just be able to like casually look around and like, oh, cool, dog, whatever. And so, like I say, we're gonna try to see if we can find some other dogs, you know, wanting to be reactive, so that we can show you the process for some other dogs too. Right. Here. Good. Come on. Here. Good. You see, every time she starts to get too intense, the ears go up before she even has a chance to start going nuts. Here. Good girl. Good girl. Trying to watch. Here. Good. So there I was a little bit late. She was already starting to woof a little bit. Here. Come on. Good. Here. So every time I see her starting to get that intense, here. Right now I know I want to redirect that back towards me. Here. Oh, good girl. Yes. Good. Here.
Phoenix up.
Now same thing, we're on a very low level. We're on level 8 with the e-collar. This is not about punishment like, you didn't do this right. This is about getting the dog's attention, because we know when the attention's on the dog, she's probably not going to be a good girl. But if the focus is on me, she probably will be. Good girl, there we go. Come on. Good. So I'm giving her one free command. And the second time I say here, I'm just using a little bit of low-level stimulation. All right. Here. Good. Here.
Phoenix up.
Good.
Up.
So there, like I say, she's not being aggressive yet. Here. But because we know who this dog is, and we know the issues that she's had, we know that this is the beginning of her snowball. And so she's woofed a little bit, but what we want to do, good girl, is before it gets bad. And like I said, this is where, if people make mistakes with this method, it's usually here. The dog's already lunging and pulling. They've already lost control of the mindset. We want to do this when the mindset is that it's most easy to influence. Good. Here. Come on.
Phoenix up.
So like I say, the method is somewhat simple to understand. The idea is that we've got to get attention onto us, because if you're a dog owner dealing with a dog who lunges, who barks, who goes nuts, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The dog is not thinking about you, not focusing on you. You're like the last thing on that dog's mind. And so what we need to do is, like I say, before we get these big explosions, and sometimes, like I say, we're able to catch those on film, but most of the time, before that big explosion even occurs, we need to be teaching the dog, hey, I know that makes you uncomfortable, whether it's a dog, a person, bicycle, whatever your dog's trigger is. I know it makes you feel uncomfortable, so when you're uncomfortable, I want you to pay attention to me. And so this is where it's almost counterintuitive for folks that aren't very familiar with the electric collar, is we can actually, using a low-level stimulation, a lot of folks would say, oh, if you use the electric collar, it's going to make the aggression worse. And it absolutely can. And so when people take an electric collar and they start pounding on the dog, you know, for aggression, there's lots of dogs that actually get worse from that, and they actually, you know, it'll incite them even more. Whereas if we're using it at a low level, we're keeping a threshold that the dog's comfortable with, and we're slowly getting closer and closer while teaching the dog to maintain focus on us. In situations like that, low-level e-collar stimulation can actually, there you go, good girl. And see, she was starting to get a little bit overwhelmed, and so she already starting to pay attention to me. Good girl. Good. And that's what we want. We want to be the center of our dog's universe. You know, we want the dog being out in public and realizing, hey, this is fun, you know, this is enjoyable, but, you know, mom or dad is the important one that I have to pay attention to because her instincts suck. She needs to pay attention to our instincts. Her instincts tell her to go after other dogs and things like that. Has she bitten other dogs, do we know?
I think she's got pretty close.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, her instincts are off. She needs to be paying attention to ours, and she can't do that if she's not paying attention to us in the first place. And so like I said, this step back recall is incredibly powerful for getting that level of focus. And so, so like I said, I always kind of get a little bit bummed that we can't like actually show like aggression and suddenly the dog's over it because it's not that cool. Usually, like I say, a little bit of this and suddenly the dog's not acting aggressive anymore. And at that point, it's time to refine. And so like I say, if we're allowing the dog to get aggressive, usually we're too close and we just need to go a little bit further and then we can get, but that's the cool part about this method is we can break the threshold down and get pretty close pretty quick. You know, when she first came in, she couldn't be near a dog, you know, 3-4 feet away. Here, good girl. She couldn't get this close to a dog. And so from here, you know, we're going to get her to the points where she can be in our group and stuff like that. Here, good, yes. Good girl. We maintain happy puppy and teach her to focus on us. Here, oh, good girl. Good girl. All right, time for you folks to get to work.